Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, May 14th. I thought I'd go a little further into, you know, what COVID really did to the markets. And you have to understand why things took place, right? And then you have to look at the markets now and say, they're correcting. All right, so stay tuned. All right, so welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it, and this is the weekday, is Tuesday. We do it Monday through Friday. Available on podcast as well for your listening pleasure. So, from last week's video, I did a video on, watch this before you buy. And it got mixed reviews, okay? Some people thought nay, others agreed. Others were neutral, right? The key takeaway is during COVID, if you had inventory, if you had a product that somebody wanted, good chances are it got sold. And I'll be honest with you, at that time, and just as COVID broke, I know a lot of dealers that were still asking stupid money for their used stuff. And when I say stupid money, when people started getting back to work after COVID, there were no new tractors to buy, new cars to be had, and dealers were scrambling. And the ways I could tell you how that worked out was like with me. When I traded my last truck for the one that I have right now, the one that I have right now was brand new on the lot, okay? And they got a premium, 62 or 65,000 is what they were asking for it. And to me, I thought that was kind of a stupid number, but my son worked there, he still does, and they have the D plan, so it saves employee just above cost, above the sticker. But the clinker was they give me stupid money for my older Chevy that had 99,000 miles on it. They give me almost 30 grand for that when it wasn't worth 15 because the used car market had gone crazy. Nobody was upgrading because you couldn't upgrade to a new one because the new ones were out. And if they were, the chips were missing. So they were useless. They couldn't do anything with them. So the used market dominated for quite a period of time, right? And that was everything. Once dealers ran out of inventory of new product, it was a while before they got anything to replace it. So a lot of dealers that sold new were going out and buying everybody used they could find just to keep things moving. But they were jacking the price up on used because now, capitalism, supply and demand, it was getting hard to find good quality used out there. So if you did, you paid a premium for it, a lot of times higher than book price on it. And during that time, I'm still going through that phase, by the way, of use it or lose it. And I had 3 boats here, and I sold all 3 of those boats within a 2-week period. And during that 2-week period, the government was sending checks to families that had kids. So all these parents had not gone back to work yet, and they were stuck at home with the kids, and they were trying to think, look, I have all this free time because I'm not back to work yet. The kids, no school anyways for another year, right? And they were getting extra checks. And they even had the folks that didn't have kids that were getting checks for not working. And some were working under the table, but government was giving out stupid money. So that kind of didn't help the situation. It did if you were a seller, okay? It helped me. And had I had 20 boats, I think I could have sold out the 20 boats by the time, after COVID. And I can remember one of the first farm auctions that I went. They still required us to wear masks, keep 6-foot distance, But they decided to go ahead and have a farm auction that spring. And I mean, the stuff was decent shape, nothing fancy, but it had some age on it. I know Claude and I went to see what kind of deals could be had. There were no deals. People were paying stupid money. And I even had John Deere dealers, or my friends, paying more than what the tractor should have been worth, and buying them at the auction to take them back to put them on their dealership floor to have, because they couldn't get new. So, they were trying to deal, your dealers were trying to scramble to get sales from the used market. But during that time, as I explained in the other video, during that time, those dealers were putting in pre-orders a year ahead, right? And they put in a pre-order and nobody was back to work yet. So it just kept, they go, file another pre-order. File another pre-order. You see where I'm going with this? Everything was hunky-dory and everything was going right along smooth for the dealers to a certain extent. Definitely for sellers. Buyers were given the extra money to buy from, to buy with from the government, right? And who knew you might not make it through COVID? So now, roll the clock ahead a year and a half. And the used market is just starting to come down a little bit, all right? Now, all your dealers are seeing the first pre-order come along because the plants are back up manufacturing, right? Here come pre-order number 2. And normally most of these dealers do one pre-order a year of what they wanted based on, last year's sales. Well, a lot of these dealers did more than one pre-order because they just couldn't be had. So they put in another one, and they thought that this trend was going to continue. And now that brings us to today. Today, every dealership that you look at is stocked to the teeth. If they were lucky, they only did one pre-order, but most did 2 or 3. So now they've got inventory everywhere. And nobody is buying to anything like they were during and post-COVID. All right? The money's not there. People are back to work. People are now feeling that jab of where they bought a new motorcycle or a new boat or whatever. Mainly toys, right? And the government quit paying them the extra money. Now they're back to trying to live on their budget, and that new bass boat and the motorcycle were never part of the budget where it was affordable. So now they're trying to sell it to get out from underneath it. And I'm seeing a lot of folks take less than what they owe just to get out from underneath it because it's killing them. They're debt right up to their ears. Did they have that extra money during COVID and after? Yeah. But it stopped. That's the key. It stopped. And now families that are going back to work, both parents and the kids are in school, they don't have as much time to go camping. So there that camper sits that they bought, that they did get quite a bit of use out of, for that year. But those times are gone unless we're going to have COVID again where they shut the whole country down. Don't say that, right? And you're seeing it already. It's like Amos with his trike, his Harley trike, getting a good deal on it. I just bought a decent Suzuki Boulevard C50. Low mileage, mint shape. Post-COVID, that same bike would have brought $6,500 to $7,000. And yes, on some of the Boulevard models, that's more than what they are new, right? But that's what I'm talking about. And I paid less than book on it. Because they needed the money to pay off other bills that they had for the camper and the bass boat. So that's what I say, is whenever your market goes one way real hard, get ready for it because it's going to come all the way back. It's like elasticity. It's got to recorrect itself. And sometimes what ends up happening is it gets so far out of whack that the stretch, it shoots it past, where it should be. And it shoots it the other direction, which is now worthless instead of having value. Now you have so much stuff on the market, and you got no buyers. There's nobody there buying top dollar. They can't. They can't afford it. They don't have that disposable income. The inflation hit. Post-COVID hit, where everybody's back to work, that wanted to work. So now their dollar isn't worth as much. But that's what I'm talking about, that it had to correct itself, and it's still correcting itself right now. Last year or the year before, the chips started rolling in, so they started, there were 2021s, 22s that sat on race car lots. Racetracks because they couldn't sell them because they didn't have the chips. But they sat there for 2 years before they got shipped to dealers to sell. And one of the things that Ford's not going to tell you is on your Ford F-150s, especially the FX package with the onboard generator, you have one battery usually in the front, right, for starting the vehicle. Then you have two more batteries hooked to make a 24-volt system underneath the back seat, the passenger seat on the four doors. And those batteries have a shelf life of about 2 to 3 years. Well, a lot of them did. They sat for 2 years on this racetrack. So what ended up happening was people were having a lot of glitches of where, with my vehicle, you can disable it, but then it enables itself every time you start the vehicle. But when you come up to a stoplight, the engine shuts off. And when you let off the brake pedal, the engine starts up. I knew guys that would come to the stoplight, push the brake in, it would shut off. But then it wouldn't come back on until you put it back into park, shut the key switch off, and then restarted it. And it ended up being those batteries that nobody knew were underneath the seat in the back of the Fords to run your all the restart systems, your navigation, all your extra crapola is being run by the other two batteries. And you have two alternators on my truck. One sits high that charges the regular battery that you see that all vehicles have, right? And then there's another one down low that charges that 24 volt system, the two 12 volt batteries. And they're not just regular 12 volt batteries. You just can't go out and slap two batteries in there. Size matters. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. So we went from COVID, and then coming out of COVID, a lot of new and used stuff sold like crazy because we had a big influx of money coming in from the government, right? We were getting paid to not work, getting paid for kids, and kids didn't go back to school for another full year, right? And then you have dealers finding it very hard to get their new products that they normally sell year to year to year, right? And one thing I want to mention is like a lot of them, when their first preseason order came in or the first pre-order came in, they sold like hotcakes because the market was still hot. Because whoever had the new ones, the firstest with the mostest, as they say, sold out. So they thought this trend was going to continue. A lot of these dealers thought this is going to be, a moneymaker. And I knew a lot of them with their first pre-order jacked the prices up on their new ones, higher than what list was on them. But then when their second pre-order showed up, the market started waning, right? Because all the other dealers were getting their new stuff. And then when the third pre-order came in, because, they may have done the first pre-order the last year of COVID, right? And then their second pre-order post-COVID, but not that far out, so that's second year. And then they did their pre-order last year for this year's. So you see what I'm saying? You get all three are bunched up. They did okay on their first. If you only ordered just the one pre-order, you're probably sold out by now. But if you ordered more than over the next 2 or 3 years, I guarantee you have a yard full of equipment. And now the market has dropped. It's getting back to where it should be, all right? It's just trying to get its course correction. And right now, it's come all the way to the other direction of where you can't hardly give shit away. So, for the time being, if you're going to go out and get a major purchase, I would hold for a little while. Or if you're buying used, check Facebook. I mean, the stuff that you probably want is right there on Marketplace because people can't afford to keep them anymore. They don't have that extra income coming in. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday. We got a lot of road trips ahead of us again today. And keeping it real. All right. You guys have a great day.